It does not need ploughing, so I can just plough from this edge outwards, which is what we'll do. Get in the tractor. Now, as you can see, this is a very old tractor. I had this from the start of the playthrough. Very first, I sold all of my starting equipment, and this was one of the first tractors I bought. And it has served me very well. It's not the largest engine of the model. I only got the 940, which is 380 horse. It starts at 320 on the 920, I believe. You can get it up to about upper 500s. But I found, the 940 with 380 horsepower has served me well. It can haul any of the equipment I have on the farm. It's just that it can haul all of the equipment on the farm, and a lot of the tractors I've got cannot haul all of the, don't have half the horsepower this has. So we're kind of had to supplement the large tractor fleet with an extra model. Yeah, it's probably something I'm going to avoid doing, I must admit. I don't particularly like sort of that type of easy method of making money. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to need to zoom out here because we have to get this thing set up. So that's unfolded, it's positioned right. And I am going to do this with GPS, which means we do the auto spacing. I need to flip this side.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Say ha-ha. Wait, Mom.
Okay.
No.
We'll move that way.
One time I did it to you, then you said...
Okay, that's going to there. I can't remember if it's the green line or the blue line that I steer to, so I'm going to reverse this up and then activate the GPS and see where we position to. Okay, offset is on the wrong side, so reverse offset. Okay, so that's not right. I'm going to have to drive to the offset, get the trailed plough into position, reset the auto. Okay, so that is operating position for the plough. I press A and that puts the plough into, or the markers into the correct position. The green is the central line, the red is the outer lines that the plough will follow, and the blue is the line the tractor will mark to, so that everything else falls into place. Okay, so that's the basic start of GPS. I'll then turn around and reposition the tractor back on the field. So when I'm going this way, the blue line is on that side, and when I turn round and go this way, the blue line is on this side. I line the tractor up so that we are facing the direction I want to go in. The red marker is a helpful indicator. I position that using these two keys so that it's running, this side is running along the edge of the field. So if I drop the plough while I'm following this line, I'll start ploughing up right along the edge of the field. This is a rotate, so I can rotate it 90 degrees like that. And this allows me to fine adjust the rotation. although it's kind of tricky to use, so I try to avoid it. I try to stay on the line. Now, the other thing I'm going to need to do is that's reverse the offset. That's automatic offset reversal. So the plough can be rotated. So when I'm going this way, the plough will be at this angle. When I'm coming back the other way, the plough will be at the opposite angle. So it'll keep the offset to the north side of the field all the time. Anything else we need to cover? No, this bit here allows me to auto reverse, and because I'm not going to be on a field, I can't use that. We've got the width set. I'm going to reduce the auto width by a tiny little bit, and I'm going to have to reposition the edge of the plough. So the reason I do that is so there is a 20 centimeter overlap as I'm coming back down the field. We've got auto, I think I put auto reversal on. Oh no, okay, so automatic reversal is on. We'll turn on GPS, we'll drive forward, the tractor will drop into the right line. We need to allow create fields, which is, let's say 16? No, 10. Okay, so we're allowing create fields. Now we'll drive forward until we hit the edge of this field, and then we'll start chopping up grass. So, lower the plough into position and drive.
Mom. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is going to be a long, slow task because we're limited to 8 miles an hour. So once we get up to the end here, as I said, I'll probably plough a little wider than I need and then get the roller to re-establish the edge of the field. So that's about as close as we want to get. Lift that. Now I'm going to have to do a hard turn that way. And we can roll the plough. There we go. And you'll see the blue line is now on the north side of the field still, and the plough is facing in the opposite direction. Now the reason you do that in real life is so you're always pushing the dirt in the same direction for your ploughed furrows. You're not, and you would, every time you plough, you would alternate. I do it this way this year, and next time I plough I would do it the other way, so I'm pushing the dirt to the south. We lower that back down. That turns on create fields, and off we go with the next row. And obviously using GPS is keeping the edge of this field precisely straight. I had to drop the ground response mod because this tractor does not play well with ground response, and I had to turn off crop destruction mod because a couple of my tractors that I have used, I don't think I have them anymore, the narrow wheels did not count as care wheels and would rip up the crop. And obviously at the time I was trying to use the smaller tractors to fertilise the fields, and it's not good to try fertilise the fields when the tractor is destroying the crop as it's driving through it. However, in spite of having the mods turned off, or at least the crop destruction mod, I try not to drive in the crop because it's, yeah, technically you would destroy it. If I'm going to fertilise a crop, I'm going to run through with care wheels, in spite of the fact I don't really have to. Hey Ollie, how you doing? Is it Ollie or the Bob?
I fixed it.
Now, also, you know, the reason I'm doing this now is because the field wasn't cut until early fall, first day of fall, and so I will not have 100% growth before the end of the year. And by doing this, I also bought the field at the top there, so that we are going to have a larger grass field.
You're done coloring it.
Mommy, why is this down?
But the whole idea is I'm not going to get a full growth here, so I'll take the loss of not having grass this year, and instead next year I'll have double the crop yield because I'll be able to fertilize the fields. And do I play on the Xbox? No, I play on PC. Prior to this, I had what did I have? PC that was average back in 2012, and did struggle with this map because there's a lot of clutter around the main yards, and we decided last summer that we were going to upgrade our PCs. This is the first real gaming rig I've ever had. You know, serious power. And so I'm able to play at high resolution and stream at the same time. And so that's what I took up doing. So pull forwards a bit, drop the plough, and off we go again. So anyway, as far as GPS is concerned, that's all I know. We can go back to this section here. Allows you to program automatic turns. So this turns automatic turns on or stop at the end of the field, and this determines which direction the automatic turn is going to happen. I can click this and have the tractor do an automatic turn. The issue there is you need the tractor to be able to make consecutive turns the way I'm doing this field, and it's not really capable of doing successive turns on a 5 meter, 6 meter working width. Okay, we're almost to the point where we're going to carry on driving, but we won't for now. I'm going to leave a 2 plough width before, so the next run down this way we will keep going, but I'm not going to run close to the fence for this trip up.
What are you doing now?
I'm tearing up the grass.
Oh.
And then I'm going to replant it as grass.
Oh.
And this show is filmed before a live studio audience, and will be from now onwards, at least for the foreseeable future. So we're not doing too badly with this. I mean, the plough's big, so we're ripping this up quite nicely. I couldn't run, there's a couple of ploughs that are bigger, but this tractor can't haul that plough. I do have the class Zerion, which has about high 400 horsepower, so I could get a bigger plough, but the issue there is then I would have to do all of my ploughing work with the Zerion. By keeping the large equipment down to a level that this tractor can haul, I have multiple options, so I don't have to wait until the Zerion becomes available. Wait, listen. We can just run, I can pick whichever of the 3 large tractors I have now to plough, or seed, or cultivate. Say hi. Say hi.
I just said hi. When?
Just now. She just said hi.
Yeah.
Quit messing with the wheel. Hands off.
Why it's doing on its own?
It's going on its own. We don't need to drive it.
No, but I'm holding on it.
So, at this point, we're heading down to here. I'll stop just before the tree will reverse course and come back.
What did I say about messing?
But not.
I just saw you.
What do you-
Don't lie to me, young lady. Get over here.
Okay, this is close enough to the
I
tree.
saw you. How'd you lie
We'll
to me?
lift that up and we will turn it about again. I have found the gold in this map and I haven't picked it up yet. We need to reverse that before we get back on track.
The faster. And don't.
Lower that.
Yeah, you are.
I need a minute.
There you go. And we sit there. You can watch. There. You gonna say hi?
I already said.
Okay then.
Maybe we could sit together for a while.
Hi. Hi.
So yeah, I'm not sure what I could do with another £1 million. The farm is growing quite nicely. I've got all of the crop from this year still in storage.
So we had to turn back to.
I think I might have sold a little bit of the barley. I've got everything stored on the main farm. There's 2 sets of silos, 250,000 litres in each. One on the main farm, one on the cow farm. I do play Farm Sim 19. Typically I play Farm Sim 19 during the week. I started this series I think back in September, and basically because at the time Farm Sim 17 was the game to be played.
What are you doing? Keep on pushing.
And so
Fanny,
Huh?
get out. Get over here.
since what happened
I
there?
told you no messing.
Yes. Since I hadn't completed the cow and
No, it didn't
pig
do it.
breeding
Sit down.
program,
Stop messing. Why did you tell me?
I decided I was going to keep this series running until I've completed those achievements. We completed the the pig one a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, being fall or autumn, the cows aren't breeding anymore, and I need at least 1 more cow to complete the breed 20 cows achievement. I'm going to have to wait till next summer. So in all likelihood, this series is going to run for a full year, at least until fall next year. At the moment, as I said, we're in fall, early fall, and I'm planting oilseed radish, cultivating that in, and planting various crops, canola, wheat and barley in the fall. But I can't plant them until day 5, or they'll break the surface before the end of the year, and the winter will destroy them. All of the fields I plan to plant corn or soybeans in, I will keep oilseed radish all the way through winter and into spring. And as soon as the weather allows, we'll get them going. Okay, what am I doing here? Rotate. I'm not sure whether I want to get a small plough just to fill in the corners. It might be worth it. Or what I might do is come back and start from this end and get the slope of the field more in line with... because obviously on the left as we're passing right now, there's that little triangle there. We could get that a little bit more even. So, what are your thoughts on your starting equipment, Ollie? Well, my thoughts are it's a very generous starting equipment, but the fact that you've got a sugar beet field and the tractor hauled sugar beet harvesting equipment, you don't have any equipment that natively can pull the entire setup. You would need to go out to the field with the topper and harvest, take the tops off, and then you would have to turn around and go out again with the actual harvester in order to complete the to do that harvest. Yeah, and that, I mean, the thing was, because I started on seasons, I didn't have any crop in the ground, so I actually sold everything. I think I kept the Fendt 300 and the Massey 5600, 5700, whatever it is.
I told you both over and over. Don't the mess with stuff.
And that's, that's because having small tractors that can do fertilizing work is a useful thing.
You understand me? If you want to press buttons, you go over there to those that are yours. That's all you want.
For big tractors, I want, I figured I needed a big tractor eventually, so I'd get a big one to start with.
Come to me when you can tell me why you like me.
Seasons, obviously every field is ready to plant. So I had the choice of what I wanted to plant. I sold the sugar beet equipment, I sold the harvester and headers because they were going to be sitting around for a long time. And at the end of the first year I leased the harvester because I needed it for about 2 days to harvest the fields. And I think I only got a small harvester that year. The following year, I think I leased the harvester the second year, but I leased a bigger harvester. And with the proceeds from that, on the third year, I bought a big harvester. But as I said earlier in this stream, I'm at the point on this farm where I have enough money to afford the luxuries. Okay, let's tidy off the end of this field. Yeah, we'll do that. So if I lower that there, it's... Oh, no, lift it, rotate it. Now lower it. That's going to fill in the gap here. We'll lift the plough and then go do another row to the north. Drop that there, and we'll drive into this section, and that's done. And we'll go round again Okay, you do not need to plough and cultivate. You can either plough or cultivate, depending on your seeder. Let's go back to... obviously, I'm not sure which seeder you have running. So, where's seeders? Seeders. So, this seeder is a sowing machine you can sow fields. If we go up to, I know this one... With a sowing machine you can sow fields. Additionally, this machine offers the possibility to seed directly without previously cultivating or ploughing. So you don't have to cultivate or plough with this seeder. This is the one I'm using, which I have to plough or cultivate. I don't have to do both. So the decision to cultivate or plough is made here. If a field is flagged red, it needs to be ploughed. So I don't have any fields that need to be ploughed. I'll turn fertilization off, yeah. So none of the fields I have need to be ploughed. If I bought this field, I would want to plough it before I plant anything on it, because I get a 15% yield bonus at the end of the year. So that's why you want to plough.
You're not supposed to, so why would you do it?
But cultivation is really down to the seeder or planter you're using. If the planter needs to have cultivation first, it will not plant in raw ground, just harvested ground. So I'll drop that there. So for that we've got, I think that covers ploughing and cultivating. Ploughing you need to do one every 3 years in order to keep the plus 15 yield bonus. Now the next bit is fertilizing. Well, and you can fertilize any time the ground condition changes. And I say that carefully. So, what I'm doing here is ploughing. I've changed the condition of the ground from not ploughed. I could fertilise this field, this part that I've just ploughed, and get 1 level of fertilisation. Or I could skip it. And then, if I cultivate, I could then add another level of fertilization, and then I could seed it. And some seeders, once again, let's go back to seeders here. This seeder just carries seed, so you run this over the ground, all you're going to do is plant something. This seeder has seed and fertilizer, so I'm going to plant something and I'm going to add a level of fertilization to it. Now, depending on your settings, let's review settings. Here I have periodic ploughing switched on, which means I have to plough once every 3 times in order to keep the yield high. Fertilizer states I've got set to 3. You can set that to 3, 1. Ploughing you can have on or off. While we're here, we'll save. And so you can take the time to fertilize at any point in the growth. Now, one of the things with the growth is, let's go back to this map here, one backwards. What you see here is growth. This light green line, which is this one here, that's the second bar. Really, really light. You've just put seed in the ground and it's not growing. This second colour, you've got shoots breaking through the ground. So you see that sort of very, very green field over behind the trees there. That's at what I call the first stage of growth. As the stuff grows bigger, each level of growth, the green of the map gets darker. So this is almost fully grown and almost ready to harvest. It's not ready to harvest yet, but as the stuff grows, at each growth stage you can add more fertilizer, but you only need to add 3 total. And by going to this screen here, you can see what 3 total is. So this, I'm ploughing in an existing crop, grass. That's giving me 1 stage of fertilization. This field here has 2 layers of fertilization, and this field here has 3. These all need ploughed, and if I take the ploughed state off, I can see none of these fields have actually been fertilized. That one too. Did I harvest that one? I'll go back 1 level. Okay, so that's growing oilseed radish, so it's not been fertilized yet. So fertilization adds 30% to the yield on the field. Um, 30. No, it's not 30, is it? The total fertilization bonus you can get from ploughing and fertilizing is 100%. So if you were going to get, say, 10,000 litres of corn off a field, if you fertilize it and plough it completely, you'll get 20,000 litres off that field. So fertilizing is a good thing to do, because it increases your yield. However, it's going to cost you money frequently. However, not always. A fertilizer you can use is oilseed radish, which is the very green crop I've got planted on the left there. And you plant that, you let it grow, and as soon as it's grown 1 stage, you get your cultivator out and you churn it into the ground, and it gives you a level of fertilization. However, that means that while it's growing, your field is not growing something that's going to make you money. Okay? You can use solid fertilizer, which for most farms, go back. You buy from pallets, and right here you've got solid fertilizer bags, or you can buy liquid fertilizer, and you can use obviously the seed bags.
Mommy.
And I will do a little bit of jumping around in a minute. So to spread solid fertilizer, you need something like this. I think I've got one of those. It's kind of small, but it does have a good working width, 24 meters, and it goes kind of fast. For liquids, you use something like this. You can either use a vehicle or a trailed sprayer, or one that fits to the back of the tractor. Okay, goodbye Sparky, have a good weekend. Now that, you put the liquid fertilizer in. You can go to your cows and pigs and grab manure and spread poop on the fields. That'll give you a level fertilization. Now realistically, you probably don't want to be spreading poop on a field that has crop growing, because nobody wants to eat stuff, eat things that's been covered in poop. You would usually put that down on the field and then cultivate it in, so you're adding the nutrients to the field before you've got seed even in the ground. Slurry tanks, the same thing. You're going to your animals, and you're loading this up with liquid fertilizer, and you're either spreading it on the ground, or you're attaching a cultivator to the back and you're injecting it into the ground and then churning the ground over in order to get the fertilization into the ground. These tanks can be used for both animal product and product from the BGA. If you sell silage at the BGA, it creates what it calls digestate, which is sort of a waste product from the BGA. And that waste product can be used to fertilise the field. So bonus, you sell the silage and get paid for it, and in return you get some free fertiliser. And that's a lot of what I've been doing on this farm, is basically selling silage bales in order to get free fertiliser from the BGA. And I'm now at the point, the BGA tank is 800,000 litres. That's not sufficient for me to use for fertilisation in a year. And I only do one spread of natural fertiliser. Oh, I don't want to be up there. Let's raise that. I think I just messed up. Turn.
Lady, Fanny,
Huh.
don't you mess with
I'm
anything.
not, I'm just watching.
Just watch.
I'm on
We'll
him
load that back
yet.
down there, and we'll run down here.
You've got one there.
So that pretty much covers all your levels of fertilisation. Since, if I'm playing a regular game, I usually don't do the oilseed radish because, as I said, regular, I want to... there we go. Out of the way. With regular, I want to be growing stuff that's going to make me money. Oilseed radish doesn't make me money, it just fertilises the ground. But it takes time out of my growing season. I'd much rather pay for the fertiliser and obviously come back later. Yeah, I get the bonus that way. But because, at least during fall at the moment, I don't need, I can't grow anything in those fields. So liquid, putting oilseed radish down is a free way of getting the fertilisation done. Ugh, my throat. And you'll need to excuse me because we are suffering in the house today. And good morning, God of Thunder, how are you doing? At least I assume it's still morning.
You just spilled some.
Oh, I just spilled some. I miss my mouth. I have a drinking problem.
I know.
So then, I can't put this on a worker. I can't keep it running. Let's go back to here. So, once a field is ready to harvest, so this field is ready to harvest, it's the first stage of harvest.
You know exactly what it is.
I don't have to do it now,
All you gotta do is tell me why
but
you
if I don't do it
You know you're
before the end of its orange phase, it will wither and turn brown. So you've basically got
It's not hard.
3 stages of growth where you can fertilise the crop. Once it's fertilised,
Just tell me.
you can then harvest it any one of the 3 harvesting stages, and we haven't found any bonus to waiting or doing it right when it's ready. Obviously, if it's raining, you may end up later in the allowable harvesting point before you get round to it. Once it's withered, the crop's useless. It's not going to make you any money. But that's the only thing you really have to worry about on harvesting your crop. Get it done before it withers. And all the harvesting colour is really telling you is how long you've got left to do it in.
It moves.
So
And him falls.
now I could start planting. The problem is this tractor's going to take a long time
We're changing.
to plough this field.
Time's up. You're gonna be
And my planting equipment's 12 metres wide, so it's really not going to take much time to plant grass on this field. Oh, okay, I was saying cultivating the ground. This part of the field directly in ahead of us is in a harvested state. The last thing that happened on this field was a harvester ran round and took the, I think it was wheat, off the field.
We're doing it for some reason.
A seeder, I'm going to have to cultivate this area. A seeder that can cultivate will work on this field. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to have to cultivate that portion of the field or plough it. Now obviously it's far more efficient for me to cultivating it than it is to plough it, because the plough's only 5 meters width. You know, I haven't tried that. I've avoided letting crops wither. But potentially no. I did basically. I'll destroy a crop that I don't want. I will cultivate in a oilseed radish crop. Outside of that, I try not to let crops get withered, because I think they're kind of destroyed at that point. And we could try that on a map one day. I won't try it on this one because it's kind of my long-term thing. I know a farm that I could do it on. I've got a private farm on Marwell, and there's a couple of fields out there that do not have contracts on them, and so the what is it? Those fields have now got to a withered state on my playthrough, so I will try that probably sometimes this week. And I'll report back to you about whether ploughing in withered crops is actually a thing or not. Okay, we'll go up to there. We'll lift that up. Ta-da. And I want that flipped to finish off that little bit there. We'll drop that there, and that will give me that bit filled in. And we turn around. So all of this, what was I going to say? This ploughing, because I've set it to, what, 5.1 meter width, as I said when I started, and the equipment is 5.3 meters wide, that does mean that I don't have any gaps that I have to worry about as I'm ploughing this. The auto detect of GPS sometimes doesn't get the width of the equipment right, or it looks at all the equipment you've got on the tractor and picks one at random. The last time I did mowing on this field, I had a triple mower set on the front of the tractor and a windrower on the back, and the windrower had a slightly wider working width. And that's why if you look over there, there's little strips of unmowed grass, because the mowers weren't overlapping as we went up and down the field. I did correct it once I'd sort of done about 5 or 6 rows there. For this part of the field, I did correct the